There are a ton of really cool things you can do in Ghost of Yotei that I'm pretty sure most players don't even know about. Hey everyone, this is Chaz Plays Games, my name is Chaz, and the game I absolutely cannot stop playing is Ghost of Yotei. So after literally hundreds of hours in the game, let me take you through some secret techniques and hidden combat mechanics to help you make the most out of your time in Ezo. Like, one of my favorite tricks is to light my weapon on fire using Oni's flame before picking up and throwing a weapon. Doing this is also going to light any weapon that you pick up to throw on fire. Now, thrown weapons are pretty much guaranteed kills whether or not that weapon is on fire, but if you have the Charm of Fire Mastery equipped, that thrown weapon is going to spread fire to nearby enemies, making it a really fun way to take out a group of enemies with just a single hit. Now, this fire spread with the charm also works when hitting a perfect parry, making this charm a really good complement to a parry style build.
These butchers don't deserve to live another day.
Now, one of my favorite combinations for this trick is to use the Disarm counter skill in combination with the Charm of Quick Retrieval. This is going to take the weapon away from the enemy, instantly putting it in your hands, lighting it on fire so you can throw it back at them and deal a ton of damage. Now, you can also light your weapon on fire in a standoff by triggering Oni's flame before pressing L1 to enter the standoff.
I can see her skin burn from her pores.
After that standoff animation plays, your weapon is going to be on fire.
You are too small to be a danger.
Now, because these standoff kills are guaranteed kills no matter what, there's not a lot of practical value in doing this, but it does look pretty awesome. And for my money, style points are worth their weight in gold. And if you're like me and really like using Oni's flame, but you just don't think it lasts long enough, be sure to pick up the Charm of Fiery Rage. This is a later game charm that's going to extend the duration of Oni's flame by a massive amount when upgraded all the way, and this will ensure that your sword stays lit the entire duration of the standoff. And you can make the most of both of these tricks by equipping the Charm of Homasubi, which increases fire damage dealt to all enemies, and the Charm of Lingering Affliction, which is going to increase that fire damage even more. And if you don't have any of the charms or armors mentioned in this video, I've put links in the description below where you can find them all, so be sure to check them out. Now, one of the most abundant but overlooked items in the game is sake, and there are a ton of things that you can do with it that you probably didn't know about. By drinking sake, you'll refill some of your spirit, which is a great way to get some additional health if you're in a pinch, but that empty sake jar can also be really helpful. By throwing it at an enemy, you'll quickly stagger them, which is a good way to turn the tide of a fight and get in some good quick hits. You can quickly pick up and throw that sake jar by tap pressing R1, and it'll auto aim and hit the nearest enemy to you. Or, once again, with the Charm of Quick Retrieval, once you drink the sake, the empty bottle will automatically be in your hand so you can quickly throw it.
I will find you to ask for that!
Now, you can also aim the empty sake jar by pressing and holding down L2. This is ideal if you're in stealth and want to remain hidden, or you want just a little bit more control over where that jar gets thrown.
I saw some! There you are!
Now, just a quick note on that, I'm using the melee alternate controller settings, so your tap, press, and hold might be a little bit different depending on your controller scheme. So if the R1 and L2 aren't lighting up for you, just make sure to check your controller settings. You're looking for the aim and the light attack buttons. Now, another benefit to pressing and holding L2 is that you can highlight any enemies that might be in the area, even if they're behind walls or in buildings. And this actually has really good range on it, so you can see enemies pretty far out. This makes it a great way early in the game to scope out enemy camps to get a better lay of the land before jumping in. Now, if you're holding that sake jar and you decide you don't want to throw it, if you swipe right on the touchpad, you'll drop the jar and bring your sword out instead. I can't tell you how many times I accidentally threw the jar just trying to get rid of it and ended up getting myself killed before I finally learned this trick. So if you're scoping out a camp but ultimately want to remain in stealth, just make sure that you're nicely setting down that sake jar by swiping right on the touchpad instead of accidentally throwing it. Now, there are a couple of other ways to make the most out of sake. By equipping the Charm of Blind Drunk, throwing an empty sake jar at an enemy will briefly blind them, making it easy for you to run in and go for the assassination or a chain assassination if you have that ability unlocked. And with the fully upgraded mercenary attire armor, an assassinated enemy is guaranteed to drop a bottle of sake, so you'll be able to quickly recover that bottle you just used, and this can also be a really great way to farm sake if you need it. Now, you can also equip the Charm of Abundant Drink. This charm allows you to pick up and carry an additional sake bottle, which gives you a total of 3.
Ah, yes. Here.
And if you want, once you get that third sake bottle, you can simply unequip the charm and swap it out for a different one, and you'll still have that third sake bottle handy in your inventory if you need it. And if you want to add a little extra insult to injury, you can also throw an empty sake bottle at an enemy once they're down to end their suffering. Now, if you have the deluxe edition of the game, you'll also get the snakeskin armor after you defeat the first boss in the game. With this armor, thrown sake jars will explode on impact and create a poisonous cloud. You can once again complement this with the charm of lingering affliction. With that charm, the poison cloud is going to last even longer and deal even more damage. Now, to be honest, I experimented with this armor a ton and didn't really find it to be all that useful. Fire is just a much more powerful and effective element in Ghost of Yotei, but it is kind of a fun way to deal some damage if you have the snakeskin armor. Now, another cool feature, or maybe it's a bug, is the ability to use the disarm counter to quickly get across bodies of water. Now, you could do this in Ghost of Tsushima, so I'm inclined to believe they left this mechanic in here intentionally. But to use this, head out into the water, and just before it gets deep enough for Atsu to start swimming, aim and trigger the disarm counter ability. This is going to launch you across the water at near super speed, and even better, it doesn't actually use any of your spirit, so you can still quickly use the disarm ability if you need to. Now, if you're like me, you don't really like playing games at night. I feel like it just makes things harder to see in general, and I hate it when you miss a cool fight or a cutscene because it's just too dark. And personally, as a gaming content creator, I don't like filming my gaming footage when it's nighttime. Now, you can set up camp and rest until morning, but that whole sequence from setting up camp to resting and then getting out of that animation can take quite a while. And even then, you're still a few in-game hours away from daylight. So an easier way I found to change the day-night cycle is to fast travel to a new region. Fast travel in the game is much quicker, so this ends up being a lot faster, but you do need to make sure you're traveling to an entirely new region. So if you're in the Yotei grasslands and you travel to another point in the Yotei grasslands, the time will still be the same. But if you travel from the Yotei grasslands to the Toshio Ridge or the Ishikari Plain, you'll move forward about 8 hours, essentially flipping that day-night cycle. And a good way to know whether or not it's early in the morning and therefore it's going to get brighter, or it's at the end of the day and it's only going to get darker, is by going into photo mode. Once you're in photo mode, you can scroll to the time of day and it'll give you the exact time, so you'll know whether or not it's worth it to fast travel or just wait it out. Now, I also don't really like running around after a fight and being all dirty, covered in blood or mud or some kind of combination of both. If there's some water around, you can roll around in it to quickly wash yourself out, but if not, this is also something you can fix by going into photo mode. In photo mode, scroll all the way down to Atsu, quickly toggle through the options, and then make sure you end on none. Then, once you exit photo mode, you'll be all nice and clean and ready to jump into your next battle. Okay, so those are some of my top tips and hidden things that the game doesn't really tell you to help get the most out of your time in Ghost of Yotei. Hopefully you learned something new to help you squeeze even more enjoyment out of the game. As always, I'm Chaz, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.